is really important to my artistic inspiration and also to how I live my life. I spent quite a bit of time living abroad and decided to come back to Ireland to live here because of the quality of life that I can have here. Just looking around this idyllic landscape and thinking that you can sit on a beach completely by yourself and enjoy this gentleness and this quietness is something that no money can buy. We have a very, very beautiful glass in Ireland, which we're famous for, and I think that just the clarity of that liquid that can be frozen in motion is something that I'm attracted to all the time. And of course, when you add colour to that, it becomes more dynamic, and again, the variation of it, it's almost like you can paint with light, and that is something that attracts me over and over. Growing up, I had a very strong cultural background and a deep interest in the culture of Ireland, and that has come right through into my work. The latest pieces of work that I'm making are again about taking time, about looking at simple pleasures. So the latest pieces I've made are called rock pooling, and they're really about slobbering around in rock pools and looking for treasures. These are really interesting times for glass in Ireland because of the economic situation has forced many of the factories that we have been very famous for to close down. What I find both encouraging and inspirational is that the mark of the hand, Lurgan Live, the trait of the maker is still really, really important and is becoming more important as pieces are being produced more quickly and easily by machine, but the identity and that fingerprint of the individual is not on those pieces. It is the translation of both material and idea through the hands of the maker that brings across that individuality, which is really important.
The main source of inspiration for work at the moment would be the Irish landscape. In particular, I suppose, Newgrange is a major source at the moment. The large entrance stones to Newgrange has kind of inspired a lot of the newer work that I've been doing. The actual weathered stone and how it's weathered over thousands of years, and the original carvings on them. I love the idea that someone has sat there thousands of years ago chiseling, and you can still see, you know, that you can imagine someone doing it, and then it's trying to introduce that into wood, you know, that you can see some of the processes maybe involved. My most recent commission is a dining table for a client in the south coast of Devon. The piece was inspired by the coastline, and the holes are inspired by eroded sedimentary rock. I love this idea of weathering and how it affects timber and stone. And timber's so tactile. Really what I'm trying to do is let people kind of feel a little bit of what I'm feeling when I'm working with the timber. You know, that it is a warm, tactile surface. People are drawn to it. People want to touch it. There are some modern technology or some newer equipment that we can use, but at the end of the day, we're still using saws, chisels, planes, tools, maybe slightly more refined tools, but they're still used 1,000 years ago. So in a way, nothing's really changed. It's really how we're using them and the kind of style of work we're using them with. Traditional skills that we would have had in the country are kind of coming to the fore now, and like they are standing up on the international stage. And it is unique. There's definitely a uniqueness to Irish craft. I suppose like people tend to think of fine art as being a really beautiful paint and possibly even maybe a really nice sculpture, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be. It could be something functional, and that's really the way my work has gone now, where it is. I'm not saying it's fine art, but it has an artistic value. You know, it's a sculpture piece. It's going to make people smile. If you just stand back and watch people at an exhibition looking at your work, you know, you're in the background, they smile straight away.
I always kind of knew that there was a big potential for my product. I've always sort of geared from the very beginning the facilities here to deal with the potential if a high volume order did ever happen, which it has now. You are working with a form that's plastic and soft, and when you are forming the piece you're making, that you are turning that clay from a plastic soft form into like a liquid clay. All my work is a stoneware pottery. It's a very strong, robust pottery, and every single piece is individually handmade. I've invested very heavily in very state-of-the-art kilns, so that I can process volumes of work in terms of, rather than having to pack physically into a kiln, I have shuttles that come in and out of kilns. It's a traditional kind of a craft, and the only thing that's really changed in it is that electricity powers the wheels, and I still fire with a flame. So in a way, it's kind of not changed a whole lot. It's still what my ceramic forefathers 1,000 years ago were probably doing the same thing.
We started the Irish Design Shop in 2008 when there was nothing in Dublin, nowhere for Irish makers to really sell their work. We felt that the young up-and-coming designers weren't really being represented, so we really wanted to create a place in Dublin, in the city centre, where people could come and get handmade Irish crafts.
We have our large metalwork studio here, and this is essentially me and Laura's studio. We also have another jeweller who comes in time to time. And then we have a small workshop at the back where we have 2 metalworkers there as well, and they're doing sculptural work and jewellery work.
The internet obviously is a huge thing. We set up as an online business in the first place, and then realised we wanted the shop, but we still need to use the internet as a really strong marketing tool. So as well as our own website, we've got a Facebook page and a Twitter page, and by using all those tools you can really reach the widest amount of people. I think Ireland has always had a really strong tradition in craft skills, and we always had really strong skills, and maybe not the design to compete with Europe wasn't there before, but I think Ireland has really caught up with that.
I've set up kind of a very mixed media studio, everything based around craftsmanship and the use of traditional materials in contemporary design and in designs for contemporary living. The day-to-day work at the studio might be making an item of furniture, might be making an item of sculpture, might be making an item of luggage. For me, oftentimes it's a similar craft to achieve a kind of a functional object. The Irishness perhaps gives me an awareness of the earthier materials. We'd use timbers, we'd use cast metals, and I'd use leathers. All of them really are our oldest building materials. The design philosophy, I guess, I bring into my own work is very much strength through shape. So I'd use materials, or a particular material, as structurally as possible to achieve a form. I'm more interested in kind of having a single form and working with the inherent tensile qualities of timber to achieve something that's in actual fact quite light but very rigid and very strong. It allows me to get shapes and structures that are quite attractive, but they're also quite ecologically sustainable, simply because they're using less material. Drawing and modelling software is all very important for the business. My principles in furniture as a cabinet maker, say, can be transferred to a building. By embracing technology with our inherent craft knowledge and knowledge of materials, I think we can do very well, and I think the Irish craftsman's knowledge can really become a very, very exportable entity, which certainly is something that we should try to nurture.
Today is a really exciting day for me because today An Post, our National Postal Service, issued 5 new stamps which celebrate the International Year of Craft, and one of those stamps has an image of my piece on it, and I'm incredibly honoured.
Irish craftsmanship in terms of the design and the quality and the finish and the professionalism and the standard that we can step up to in terms of ceramics, I don't see anywhere else.
I think the recession is a positive thing for Irish craft with regards to sales and people being more interested in finding out about crafts and how they're made, even wanting to participate in learning how to make things themselves again. Whereas I think before, in the boom times, people just wanted to buy things and that were quick and easy, and now they're kind of interested in going back and learning the skills that their grandmother had.
And I think what's good about Irish craft at the moment is the fact that we're designing objects and making objects that will happily last and happily get used into the future.
It's exciting times. It is exciting times. People are doing exceptionally well in their different fields, and we're just kind of there's a confidence there. And it's difficult times for everybody. We're in a recession, but there's a real confidence. There's kind of light at the end of the tunnel, I think.